Welcome to Messy,
Sexy.
Me,
This is QuyenZi.
Jessie.
and Nicki.
Don't tune in if you're perfect.
Welcome to Messy Sexy Me, and we are at the season finale. Woo!
Welcome to my rooftop, everyone. This is where it all started. The ladies of Messy Sexy Me. We didn't have the name yet. We were all on my roof celebrating Nicki, her belated birthday.
Yes.
And Jess was the unifier, and we all came up here to meet, have drinks. A lot of drinks, and then more drinks. And then we were talking about sex and life, and we thought that it would be really nice to have people listen in on this conversation because we find ourselves hilarious, whether you do or not. And we're back. We missed you, Mix Cast 4.
Good job.
Yeah, Mix Cast 4 is back. Shout out to Tascam.
Tascam.
And our original supporter of gear. And so, ladies, this is our second season finale.
Yes.
We've been doing this for 30-something episodes now.
I thought you were about to say years.
I know, I was
whoa.
like,
We started when we were 0.
And now we're here.
Started from the bottom, now we're on my rooftop.
again.
But ladies, let's catch up. So we have learned so many lessons,
Yes.
life lessons, podcast life lessons. I would love to hear from you a few that you have learned and have resonated and stuck with you and that you're going to take with you into our next season.
Well, I will say, first of all, starting this literally a year ago on QuyenZi's rooftop, none of us ever had experience creating a podcast. So I'm really proud of our team for not letting that hinder us. And with that lesson, I just feel like you can honestly do anything that you put your mind to. We are our own worst critics of saying what we can and cannot do. To the listeners out there who are always like, how did you start this? It seems so overwhelming. But if you really have the passion and the mind to do it, you can totally do it. Just learning how to create a podcast allowed me to learn how to tell stories better and being okay with also having co-hosts. I mean, I'm so used to doing interviews by myself and just doing one-woman band everywhere, but it's been so nice to just have Jessie and QuyenZi show up and really empowers me and empowers everybody to just be the best versions of themselves. So if anything, I've just learned more about myself in the process of getting your story out, and you can do it in faster, more efficient, but beautiful ways that are still genuine and authentic to you, even if you have other people who at the end of the day align with the same vision. So I'm just glad to wrap this season up where it all started, back at Q's rooftop when they were celebrating my belated birthday.
I was like, we're selling what?
Well, Q would be selling, but
I'm selling ice, and it's freezing cold up here. No, it's actually really lovely today.
yeah, it's warm.
This is what I love about LA, these beautiful sunsets. What about you, Jess? Lessons learned.
It's kind of crazy, guys. We're not even a year.
Yeah.
And we've already done 2 seasons. So that's kind of a mind blow. I think as many people, you do projects, and a lot of them, like you share, it's like you do them by yourself. So being able to navigate and figure out how exactly to come up with concepts, ideas, to really narrow everything down and actually execute. I think since we started our podcast, a lot of people have reached out to me. They've asked for help. They asked for what we're using, all of these things. I would say about 75% of those people never really followed through. And for us to be over 30 episodes plus, and for us to be here now and rev up for season 3, the anticipation of knowing that there's still so much to offer, there's still so much to talk about, there's still so many people to bring on, and that's inspiring and that's motivational for me to keep this going. And I think the coolest part is I'm a soccer player, so for me, I love teamwork. So doing events and singing alone and doing all these creative stuff by myself, I've been missing that camaraderie. So it's been really cool to first season was tough for us. We had to figure it out, and we have really strong personalities, and we're talking to each other separately, then we have to come together, and we had to find a medium ground. And then second season, because we worked through all the kinks first season, second season was so smooth for us. Way less, hiccups, way less issues. We're able to communicate, and the cohesiveness was so beautiful. And so I think just to share and to inspire other people, it is really difficult to get something going. We had an idea, but we weren't really sure exactly how we were going to execute it, but we knew we were passionate about it, and look where it got us. So everybody out there, regardless if it's a podcast or whatever it is that you're trying to create, like, go with your heart, because it can follow through. It's just you have to really believe in it. And if you have a team, just know you have to go through a lot of ups and downs. But don't look at that as, a deterrent. Look at that as that's how you really grow. That's how you really understand. That's how you communicate. And the bond that we have from that, like, I know you guys so much different now because of that. And I find that such a special family, even more so than it was before. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm glad we stuck it through, and I'm glad that we want to go to season 3. I think that's a true blessing.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I believe in lessons earned, not learned. Like, we earned our lessons, and I can speak for myself. I was very humbled first season, and second season, it was easier to let go and breathe and lean on you both for things and ask you both for things. And also sometimes just saying, I don't know, I have to figure it out, or we'll figure it out together, or finding a solution together. It's refreshing, Things like that in the past, if I didn't know anything, it would drive me nuts, and I would have to have an answer and figure it out. And now I think for me, it's let's figure it out together, but also grow together in this. I feel like we've all grown so much having this podcast together, speaking our truths, being vulnerable. I mean, that was the goal in the beginning, but I think second season, it just flowed like that. I didn't have to think about it. We would just start talking, and that genuine feeling of trust between you two, because I do feel like second season was about trusting each other.
Yeah, big
First
time.
season was about learning and making mistakes. And second season was just trusting each other. And I think for me, that really, really is going to catapult our next season into much more, because now we're bringing on more guests. And I think we also have a flow. Like, everyone has commented on how our flow works so well, and we do freestyle it still. We don't script anything. And so for me, I think I'm excited for season 3, because I think it's going to be way more fun, a lot more wild, and we're going to get more creative. We've added video. Hi, everybody. And I think that this is going to be the best season yet coming up.
Yeah. And just in the ebb and flow, we've tackled a lot of things personally to make this podcast run. And I think it's a testament to, like, no matter what we all have going in our lives, because we can be extremely busy. I also think there is a difference between being busy and productive. So the whole idea, like, you're so busy I didn't invite you. I'm like, no, if it was important, I'll make time for it. And that's what I feel like we've all done every single week. A move can't get in between us. We'll figure out a way to utilize Riverside to record. And
Pivot.
we'll use this. Yeah, pivot, Ross. But that's just the beauty of it. And every season, it's nice to know that we have tested it. I think in marketing too, it's the whole test market, right? If you're willing to test out things, because the way that it has been done before might not be the best way. So season 1, being together, utilizing the Tascam Mixcast 4, I'm talking gear nerd stuff now. And then towards the end, realizing I'm moving, so migrating over to Riverside, which allows us to really see each other and record. But then I think even in doing that, there's really nothing that replaces just being in person and just have the energy. So we're really excited to think of new ways to record this podcast in season 3. And I think you all will be very excited to see what we have in store. And also, I mean, like, I need to have a break every now and then to come back from OC and be with my girls. Let's just be real. Let's be honest.
It's been a while. Seriously.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and we hear you. We've gotten the suggestions that you guys would love to see us all together in a room on video again. And so we're here, and I miss it. I think the chemistry that we have in person
Yeah.
it's unbeatable. So yeah, and I think personal lessons learned within this time too. Like we've all grown so much. Me, I can say in personal relationships with, my man, with my son who, is an adult now. And I think in the last 6 months, I have fully become the woman that I've wanted to be and aspired to be. And
I love
you're
that.
always working on that, right? You're always working. No, our tagline is like, don't tune in if you're perfect, because nobody's perfect. But I think perfection is a perception or an ideal that you want to work towards, knowing that it's impossible to achieve, but improvement isn't. So I feel like I've improved greatly with personal relationships. I've learned how to listen and reciprocate and communicate. I thought being in advertising and marketing, I'm a great communicator, but actually, I wasn't when it came to personal relationships. And
Isn't that funny how it's like
yeah,
that, though?
it never is what it is.
Yep,
You're so
yep.
great at something that you're terrible at it. I have learned that, and I've actually taken a step back from a lot of business stuff because my passion and love was always my business. My love language. I remember saying in the beginning of this podcast when we created it was business, and now my love language is love and relationships and affirmations of love to people, and it shows in many ways, whether I'm making cocktails for you or cooking for
Oh,
you.
it shows in many ways. Let's
Or,
just say it.
throwing, my son's birthday for him in Vegas, or making my man who always cooks meals. So I think personally, I've grown as a woman, and it feels really good to give and not expect anything back.
That's a
I
huge
love
one.
that.
Q, I've seen you. You've changed.
Oh, we've seen from season 1 to season 2 now, and let's just say we love you, Mickey. We love her man.
But it's interesting how a person can intercept your life like that and just kind of change the whole course of it. And the choice, though, is yours to be the better person and to
Absolutely.
absorb the nutritious entity of what he is, and allow yourself to be consumed by that in the positive and negative. Because in the relationship you had to go through a lot of different things that you didn't go through before, and watching you before you would shut off and be like, nah, I don't think so, who the hell do you think you are? And then you come to me and you're like, I know there's a lesson here. I know there's a reason for something. Like, explain it to me, and then
Yes.
communicate. But even having friends to communicate that with, I'm really proud of you, because I think a lot of us, especially when you get older, it gets harder to ask for help. You get used to just kind of identifying it yourself and solutioning it yourself. That's why there's so many people in this world, is for you to get that feedback. And
Yes.
you have to find your soundboards of people who can give you that. And so I'm proud of you, because you also had to go out of your comfort zone to trust somebody else
Yes.
and to listen.
That was very hard for me.
Yeah. So not only just him, me, Nicki, it's like there's and like I said, we've only been doing this for like,
Trust
9
is my
months.
theme the last couple months. I will say that.
Yeah. So just watching that change and you metamorphosing into this, but the most beautiful part is just seeing you actually happy. I feel like you're actually at peace. Before, it's not that you're like so transactional. You're so business minded, but babe, you had to survive. You're taking care of your son. You were going through so much. You have your businesses. Like, you're invested into so many things. You're mentoring so many people. It was like, where's the Q time?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I see the Q time, but
That's
you
pretty
have
cute.
yeah. But you have your boundaries, but now it's like
Yeah.
you're really allowing love to come in. And I've never seen, because I knew you with your ex-husband, and I seen you there, and I see you with Mickey, and it's night and day. So
Receiving, yeah.
I'm really proud of
I
you.
never knew how to receive, and I didn't trust anyone enough to let them in. And finally, it's happening. So I highly recommend it, everybody. But what about you, ladies? What do you feel like in this last 6 months? You said lessons. Like, what growth have you seen in yourself, and why?
Ooh, mine's been really, really big, actually. I think this podcast has been such a life-changing thing, because Nicki and I are more similar. We are building our businesses. We're figuring out how to find our voice. We are, in a sense, kind of people pleasers, but we also are boss babes, and we stand up for ourselves. But we're trying to find that medium ground where to really kind of like project and stand up, but not upset people. Like it's been really hard to navigate. But with you, you're like, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you doing that? All these things, and we're like, oh, we didn't even know we should. That's another way of thinking. That's another way of feeling. Like we're validated to not want to do that, to say no, to do all of these things. And throughout this entire experience, I went from, thinking I'm doing it right and feel like I'm navigating. And like you said, I'm really good at helping other people. You guys have taught me to learn to receive, and that has been so damn hard because I can see how to solve others, but I am so blinded for myself, and I don't know how to allow myself to be loved and allow myself to be fixed, like that's my defense mechanism. I think that's why I try to help so many people, is to not deal with myself. And now in the last 6 months, I've like cut off so many people. I have said nothing but no's. I barely say yes now. I am spending so much time on self-love. I know myself so well now. I feel it in my stomach, and I listen to it, and I actually respond this way instead of being passive aggressive and being like, yeah, but in my head I'm like, fuck no. Now it's just a fuck no. With that, it's like with work, I enjoyed my job, but I didn't really enjoy the drama. And I was in a dilemma where it's like, you make good money, you enjoy what you're doing, but the environment that you're in, is it toxic? And like, what are you trading your soul for, right? And for me, whenever I share my career, you guys can see I've done a lot of jobs. And the reason why is not because I can't keep my job. It's because I know in every career path, whatever I choose to do, once I gain all of the knowledge and all the lessons that I feel I've maxed out on, I know it's time to go and keep moving forward, because it's a skill set, it's a life lesson, and you keep moving forward. Unfortunately, I have decided to leave the corporation I worked with, but I'm in real estate. I'm getting my license. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm still doing all my social media. But the day that I had quit was the day I did my national anthem. That morning, I was teetering. I'm like, is it a good idea to quit right now? I have everything going for me. Like, am I crazy? And even when I ask for advice, people are like, yeah, you are crazy. Like, your benefits and what you're making and the opportunity that you get. But in my head, I'm like, I'll make those opportunities. I'm the reason why I have those opportunities too, because I'm actually going out there, meeting the people, I'm doing the sales. So you think that just stops because I'm working for a corporation, like this company? And I really had to dig deep. And I think it's because of this podcast, I knew how to stand up for myself. I knew like, what I'm feeling in my gut is the right thing, not my insecurities. Don't lean into my fears. And everything we've been doing is leaning in. Like, we've been taking so many risks, like putting our own money in, putting ourselves out there. Like, this is not easy to talk about our raw emotions, to be out here and be vulnerable. Like, sometimes I'm like, I need to edit the shit out of that, because I'm like scared if I'm going to be judged or if work's going to, and then I quit this job, and I'm like, I'm so glad I said my truth, because why am I letting the world again, like, silence me and mute me when these are my truths? This is who I am. And so after quitting that morning, I was like sick. I didn't feel good, and they needed to know. And I was like, woke up and I was like, I'm out. I'm so sorry. I appreciate you guys. And then that night I went and I sang the national anthem in front of like thousands of people.
At the Clippers game.
Yeah, with fireworks and all. And that was the moment I was like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and the opportunities will always be there. And stop living in fear. Like, lean into exactly who you are, and who I am is to keep going and not to look backwards and be worried, because what's in front of me will always be there, and it keeps manifesting. And man, ever since then, in the last couple of months, I have been at peace, and I've been in control of my life, and I feel like I've got my personality back. I felt like I was sleepwalking because I was being controlled by a company. Not to blame them, but when you work for a company, you stay in the parameters of that company, right? And it's to be a good worker, to be a good employee, to be a good, reflection of them. But was that me, right? And so now I'm again an independent contractor, which is the way I'm supposed to be, a boss babe. And now I'm living my life for me, and it's so freaking liberating. And yeah, that comes from this podcast. I will tell you that. Like, thank you guys.
I love you guys. So powerful.
We love
babe.
you.
And I mean, just I know our audience listening to this, what I'm also hearing is that you have found what you are good at and you're great at actually, and for you to be in a 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with being
Nothing
in a
wrong.
corporate job if that is your drive and what drives you, and you feel excited about that. But just like you have so many talents, like just artistic talents too, and being in that place didn't let you shine,
Yeah.
like you are the blank canvas and the artist, where you were in a place that you couldn't be that. And I think that for others, it's so inspiring that you left something to find something better. But the thing is, you're highly talented, and you just didn't know your value, and
Yeah.
you didn't
I
trust
lost it. I
You didn't
forgot it.
trust it. You didn't
Yeah.
trust that if you went out there and did what you are great at, that you could survive on that and make a living. And so many of us out there are like that. I mean, I've been in, positions where it was so that I could put food on the table and a roof
Yeah.
over my family's head,
Totally.
but I wasn't happy. And so I really, really am proud of you and admire you for that. And I know so many people out there are inspired by that, because not everyone can follow their dream from the start,
Yeah.
but you can always start following your dream
Yeah.
wherever you are in
Doesn't
life.
matter where you're at, guys.
Yeah.
I'm 37 and I have to go on the next adventure again. But guess what? I feel alive. And though it's scary because you don't know what's next, that's how you know you're alive. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
how.
also the exciting part of it too.
Exactly.
That's all part of being on an adventure. So,
Yeah.
oh, we love that.
We
And
love
we love, I mean, you can see the glow and the excitement in your voice. So,
But it was scary. I know whoever's out there and they're thinking about it. I shut my mouth and I had to sit on it for like a whole month and I was afraid, but if you know, you know, and just remember you'll always survive.
Yeah.
You got here
Yeah.
the
Yep.
same way you're going to get past the other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So
And you didn't have that structure and that opportunity. You weren't told to go after your dreams as a child. Like you're doing it now. Like
Yep.
your inner child, your inner artist, your inner fairy. It's out, and I'm really excited to see, like, in season 3,
Yeah.
that blossoming more. And I know you have things to share in season 3 that you can't share now, but we will keep that on wraps until Nicki.
Nicki.
How about you? What?
Oh my gosh. I feel like, every week I get to speak with you both. It's a blessing because it's not only hearing what you've both been up to, and it's incredible, it's also just holding myself accountable. I think really doing this podcast with y'all is holding myself accountable, knowing that we're speaking on this and we're being recorded and other people are listening to it.
Yeah.
It really sucks to be a fucking hypocrite. So I'm like, I actually have to say this so I don't do this, because I'm telling other people, like, this is how it is, this is how you manifest your man. And if I'm not actually listening and receiving what I'm actually putting down, then, that's being very hypocritical. But I also want forgiveness in that too. Is like sometimes I just have to say, well, what I'm feeling at this point in time, because things can change too. So I just giving yourself grace, because you might
Yes.
feel that way that day, but it could totally absolutely change the next week, and you don't have to feel bad about doing that. So just saying that for those of you who feel like, oh, I've said this, I've done this all my life, so I have to continue doing this and perpetuating this image. No, you don't. You can stop that toxic behavior.
Yes.
But I would say just being accountable, learning to receive. I've actually set my boundaries. I've been a contractor since 2018, so it's like I don't really do full-time jobs. So when I do, I always have other contractors on the sides, and I'm just really proud to just still be operating and paying for my own expenses, just doing that.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I might not be like the richest person, but it's also like looking back at reframing that and being like, I've been able to live the life that I want, and knowing that I can finance and source it myself. And I have no qualm in going back into corporate. Not that that's like, the worst thing that can happen. Like, very blessed to realize that if I ever was in a dark spot, I have friends to lean on.
Yes.
I have family. I could move back to the Bay. I have a partner now that won't let me do that. So it really is.
Shout out to Dawn.
Yeah, shout out to Dom. We love you. But it's just knowing that I can actually breathe and let go and be okay with allowing other people in my life to help me, to support me, and not to make it feel like it's a handout or anything, because we earn it. We work fucking hard, and if anything, you're allowing other people in your life to be a part of your life, which makes them feel a lot more important and special to you. So I've definitely learned a lot about just being accountable, setting my boundaries, even negotiating my salary. Like, I think even just a couple of years ago, I would have been like, oh, that sucks. My dad used to always say, too, like, the squeaky wheel gets heard, right? So if this is happening, no one's saying anything, the other person's just going to assume that you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like they're trying to take advantage of you, but it's like, if you don't say anything, then they're not going to know. And I feel like I've had to be that person in every single contractor job, because a lot of the stuff that I deal with is kind of new. It's like new technology, or, you know, I'm the first social media person for this company. So they just assume this is what you do and they're not going to pay you extra.
Yeah.
But take a step back and be like, well, I am a producer doing all these extra things. I would like my compensation to reflect that. I know that this is new, but just letting you know, if I do this, then this part suffers. I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And before, I used to be like, I have to show them that I can do it all. Like, I'm indispensable and that I can do everything and not ask for anything more or complain. And that really just puts you in a shitty position. And you know you would give it your all if you had the right resources and the support to do your job. So I've really learned to just speak up for myself. Just with the last couple of gigs that I've been doing, just asking for even things like, can I get my gas covered? Or like, can I get a camera operator? And I know I have gear, but this is how much it would cost if you went to a rental house and rented it versus me. So it's like, you're saving there. So let's negotiate, try to make something that works for both of us, so that they don't, again, just rely on you to do it and solve it for free.
Yeah.
Because when they do have the budget, if I didn't say anything before, they're like, well, why is it all of a sudden 5 times the price that you quoted me? I'm like, well, because I've been doing it for free for you to just not cause anything. So no, it doesn't help you in that way. So I would just say, yeah, I've become way more confident and assured of myself, and I speak up when I see something wrong. And, you know, I think earlier today, you know, receiving something where I felt like I was being misunderstood. That's like a huge pet peeve of mine, because no one likes feeling misunderstood. Just knowing
Especially in
that,
business.
Yeah,
You
it's
feel like you strive for excellence at work.
Yeah, I always strive, and I'm like, that was not my intention. And to have it reflect that they felt like I didn't want to interview certain people or do certain things, and it makes you feel absolutely terrible. But, you know, it's just not internalizing and knowing that your intentions were pure to begin with. So that's the only thing that you can stand on. And if there's something that can be worked out, like, communicate that, you know, and show how it won't happen again, or like, this is how I'm advised to like prevent it from happening in the future. But, you know, I absolutely value our relationship. So
being
you know,
solution based is
being
what it was.
solution based, and just knowing that before, I think I would have buckled, like, just like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry about this email or this thing. Like, this person thinks I'm a terrible person. And you know deep down that you did not mean any of that.
Yeah, you're
And
beating yourself
so-
up, and you get
Yeah.
you start to spiral into your own emotions.
Yeah, it's like being that deep empath too sometimes, where you feel everything, but you also have to remember to stand your ground too and realize, no, that's not what you meant, babe. So don't let them, you know, bury you with that when that wasn't your truth.
Yes.
Share your truth, and they're going to be like, if anything, more understanding, and you're going to come out on top of it being like, this never happened before, so I don't have a reason not to believe that this was what she meant. You know, so I think just a lot of those lessons these days, like just things that would be awkward or confrontational, like I'm okay with it now. And, you know, definitely since season 1, I know, like, we were all different in terms of personalities. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, if it's going to continue to feel like I'm pissing people off, or not everybody will be happy or on the same page. But you fight for the things you believe in. You know it's your intention. And just everything comes out better on the other side of that. So just thanks for this podcast, ladies.
You're welcome. You know, I want to say this to you ladies in the audience. What I do see about both you two as my sisters is the growth that you have in not just your business, but your relationships, as being, we're all deep empaths. And I like that you mentioned this, like, we all are deep. But what I will say about being a deep empath when it is a powerful thing. But in the beginning, it's like, like superheroes when they find out they have this power, right?
Yep.
It's so overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. I love that you said overwhelming because I was like, that's what I feel.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It's so
It
exhausting.
can make you paranoid.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
with great power comes great
Yeah,
responsibility.
it's kind of like a drug or a sixth sense. And you are both getting to this place. Nikki, you just gave an example. Jess, you gave examples, and it's through work. But I will tell you, you'll get to a place where that deep empathy actually is a true superpower. And it gets to the point where it doesn't crush you. Because when you're learning to be one and learning to harness this power, it is about you're feeling everything. And then once you harness it, you're like, I am feeling this. So let me scan the room. So that person who attacked me or said this or did this at work, or this woman who's my friend or my relative or my cousin or my mother, you learn to take that and you use that power. Like, how do I help them not be so toxic or rude or cause my workplace to be difficult? Let me manage that. You begin to learn to manage that. And this is something I've been working on for years. Like, you never master it, but what I have learned from it is a power, and you don't be afraid of it, because it's such a great thing. Now, like you said, you are able to take it and dissect it, process it, and then respond. How do I respond to these feelings that I have? And I think that's so important, especially in business. And like I said earlier, I am learning that in personal relationships. I've always been good with harnessing this in business and using my intuition and empathy to help me excel and solve problems. But I didn't know how to do that in personal relationships. So I feel like all of us have kind of come into this person that we are. And I love that I used to hate being an empath. I wish I could just be a jerk and not care and not think about things so much, because it can consume you, right? You lose sleep over this stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that we are in a place where, one, we're sharing it. Like, I learned from you ladies how to communicate and deal with people and be way more patient and trusting and let things go. And so I think that for me, like, I want to continue on this journey. I feel like this is a theme that is also in our podcast that we don't realize. It's the empathy that we have for each other and for the world around us, and that sharing it through our stories, it's such an incredibly powerful thing. And every week when I sit with you ladies and we talk about these stories, it is all coming from our different views of being empaths. And I love it, because we are all three so different.
So different.
And yet we can always talk about what we're feeling and how things make us feel. And like, we work together on it, we're working on it. And I think that, if anything, that's our message for this podcast.
And another big takeaway that I learned is, for me, I don't enjoy confrontation, and I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why I didn't grow internally. And with what you're going through with work, where it's like nonstop going, you having your business for so long that every day you're dealing with maybe 5 to 10 to 15 different kinds of things that you have to create solutions for. That's why it's sped up your understanding, and that's why, in a sense, you're desensitized, and that's why you can look at it in a perception of like, okay, it's transaction. Like, no, it's not emotions. Like, let's get through it. And for us, because we are still navigating in a new, eye lens of it, we're like spiraling, and we're like, oh my gosh, all these things. But the more that we're encountering these situations, and the more it happens, and we already know how to respond, it becomes reactional, where it's like, oh, it's really not that big of a deal, oh, it's like this, and we're solutioning everything. And so I just want to empower people out there that I really cringed on, like, if something happened, I would stay quiet. I would try to learn the lesson, and I would try to move on. But what I learned from our podcast, it's like, all of us have individual voices. I have to say how I feel, or else I'm not in my truth for this podcast that all three of us are sharing. And that's the same with business, right? With working for a company, with being in a relationship. You can't be a yes man. How are you going to have a successful relationship with your man or your woman if you don't say how you actually feel and you just keep saying yes, right? So that's why being in confrontations, having issues that come about, and you having to problem solve it, that's the truth. That's the beauty of it. That's the growth. And you have to want to receive that, even though it makes you cringe and you're just like, I don't want to, that's where the real magic actually happens. So just don't, of course, naturally you want to shy away, but lean into it. Lean into
Yeah.
it because that's where you understand everything and then you can get past that fear and then it just becomes natural instinct for you to just keep solving and moving forward.
Yeah. Or walk away, protect your energy.
That's what I've learned
Yeah.
though. That's why I had to quit.
Some
is
conference, like
protect
if
it.
the confrontation is something that can be solved and needs to be solved because it is always going to be within your proximity or your environment or your workplace or your private life. Like, right? Sometimes you can't run away from your family. They're your
No.
family. So
You're right.
you talk to them. But I've learned not to be combative and be like, okay, let me hear what it is you are trying to say. And I've learned that from both of you. Like, sometimes not everyone is the enemy. Sometimes they just need to be seen and heard. I think that giving people space to talk, that person can end up being someone very close to you and being, an ally if you can turn that around. And for me, like, it's less about confrontation, right? It's about how do I make you an ally? Because we're going to have to work together or run into each other in social scenes or whatever the situation is. But there are toxic people, and we all know this, that we're like, just avoid, walk away, do not engage.
Yeah, I like the reason why I quit is only one of the reasons is that there was somebody I worked with, and as much as I respect that person and that person, rightfully does everything that they're supposed to do and all of that, we just couldn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of me having to give in and feel like I
Yes.
was less than, and that person can control me and minimize me and make me feel that way. And I knew I didn't deserve that just because that person didn't see eye to eye with me, but I understood them. It was a lot of me maneuvering through their
Right.
perceptions and their needs and how to make them happy. And I felt that's not the way partnerships and relationships are supposed to
Right.
be. And so I tried really hard to create like have synchronicity of that relationship, but it couldn't. And I had to learn to throw the towel in and say, you know what, I'm not even going to tell you because you're not going to understand until I walk away or maybe
Yeah.
never. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
And instead of confronting it in that negative space, I just let it go and I'm okay with that. And that was a big thing for me because normally I have to say how I feel. I have to be like, hey, how about you look at it from this way? How about you, feel something different than what you're thinking? Try to think outside the box. But that wasn't going to work because that
Yes.
person's not going to give in because they can only see, they don't have a peripheral,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so that was a big step. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
That's
that's
so
growth.
draining. I mean, I don't know the exact saying, but it goes something like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing
That's
over
what I
and
felt.
over and over again and getting the same results.
Yeah.
And that was and you had to walk away to protect your energy and put that energy elsewhere
Yes.
towards growth.
Yeah.
So. How
exhale.
lovely. Like, the sun just set.
I'm just like thinking about, I'm just having like flashbacks to when we were last on the roof,
That was really,
Bundled
really
up.
sad.
Fire pit.
We didn't know what we wanted to name our podcast.
Podcast,
And we
yeah.
were just like, we're messy, we're sexy.
But we're sexy.
Me.
I think we started with us. Was it
I think it was
us?
Messy, Sexy Us. I was
MSU.
actually very surprised how fast the name
We-
came
yeah,
about because
yeah.
sometimes people take days
Yeah,
to like
it just
think about it.
clicked the way we click all the time.
Exactly. I was like, which one is it? Dang it. Like,
Try
all
something
of them,
different.
all of them, all of them. It's a party of three
on the roof. Raise the roof. Oh, stop.
The roof
Darn it.
is on fire. No, it's not. It's been raining, actually.
Oh my gosh.
so.
I guess what are you both looking forward to in season 3? Like not just podcasts, but just we've learned so much from doing our podcasts. What do you look forward to learning more, continuing into season 3, or just season 3, brand new, clean slate, whatever?
what are you
Thinking.
You
Miss
tell us.
Tech Nicki speaking.
Well, on the tech side, I'm looking forward to being back in person with you two.
Us too.
And then just really killing it. Quality audio, quality video. I think really there is just a difference of energy, obviously. We know this, but I just thank you both for bearing with me as I move and we still figure out solutions to like record. But yeah, I am looking forward to always elevating content-wise our podcast, and personally just learning more about just how to live my life how I am right now. I'm like so incredibly happy. I feel like we all manifested my man since season 1, and we could not be more perfect or better. And it's just crazy. Like he went on a first like trip while I'm like away, and he wore a clean sweater. We washed it in the laundry. He wore a clean sweater so it
Right.
smelled like him. And then in the morning, it scared the shit out of me though. He stuffed the sweater and pants with towels so it looks like he was there. And so
Like
when
a
I
dead
came
body?
in, he was like, "So you can cuddle it and like so that I'm not there." And I was just like, I kept looking at it.
I'm
I was
good.
just like,
I'd have been like,
I'm
I'm
like-
good, baby. You just come back.
and it's just me like sending selfies of me and this like dummy version of Dawn.
We're
like,
gonna have to post that.
I do have pictures of that.
You need to
Yeah.
to spend a week with him, the dummy Don, like going to the groceries in the car, like all the things.
But
that couples do.
it did freak me out a little bit because I'm home by myself right now.
I'd be
I only
scared.
say this right now because we don't record lifetime, so no one knows that I'm not home by myself. But I'm like home by myself right now, and I'm just like I'll be like, Alexa, turn on the bedroom, and I see it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that would scare the shit out of me in the middle of the night as I wake up. Like,
But then
to
I
get
just
water.
like, but I was laughing because I got into bed yesterday and I just put my head on his like pretend chest, and I was like,
wow.
I was like, oh, I do feel like you're kind of here, I guess.
Have you seen Lars and the Real Girl? Like, I think
No.
that's what it's
I
called.
think you need to watch
You have
that.
to watch
Is that the one where the
movie.
mother breastfeeds and sleeps with the baby
No,
and like
that's,
something else happens?
That's your life.
Okay. There's always some
doula
crazy
that
ass
was trying to be your
film
doula.
Yeah,
There's
that's the
always some
crazy
crazy
XX.
film that QuyenZi like referencing. I'm like,
yeah,
I should
I
know.
like random crazy, indeed,
But we like it.
films. But yeah, no, he just like gets a girlfriend and she's a dummy. That's his girlfriend. And he takes her
Oh,
everywhere.
that reminds me of the mannequin.
I love that
But then-
movie.
I really love the
Yes,
mannequin.
and then
She comes to life.
and then everybody pretends that she's a
Okay.
real girl.
Okay, we don't go that far. I just thought it was a really cute
I would
thing.
like hanging out with fake Dawn.
Oh,
Let's
I
have
don't know. How did
drinks.
this go left again?
yeah.
Well,
I like to go left a lot.
I mean,
Back to what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to see in season 3.
yeah.
But
So
we love this. This is hilarious.
more
Shit that happens.
love, just more love, and more like triple dating, more just out on the prowl. I feel like ever since moving to the OC, I feel like kind of by myself sometimes. Like I have to be very content with just being at home all the time because Dawn's at work all day, and like all my friends are kind of here. So
Yeah.
it's kind of very
We are.
isolating. So it's just like I'm kind of like season 3. I'm looking forward to making it an intentional effort and reason every month to come up, record with you all,
Yes.
like make it a whole day. Like we'll record because not everything has to be work. And the great thing is like our podcasts are fun too. So it's
Yeah.
I actually look forward to driving up, making the trek to LA, recording our podcast, and then like doing something on the town where we get more content. So I look forward to all of that and just having our own version of girls' night in and out.
Yes,
season
I
3.
love that. And we are looking forward to you being more on the red carpet, doing
Yes.
interviews, getting glammed up. Excited for that. So anytime you have those LA interviews for premieres and the red carpet, please, we should make a girls' night out of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I just have to give a quick shout out to Q because I guess I could say it now. 'Cause it's already
Yeah, 'cause it
happening,
already
but
happened.
So excited for
I
you.
just got invited to go to the Oscars. It's the first time. Oh,
Wrong one. I don't know the plan. I'm fired as the sound effects person. Okay.
no. But I believe in manifestation. I think, last year, I remember after hosting my first red carpet, turning red for Disney, a week later I was back after celebrating and watching my girl Rachel kill it. Like it was her first title credit on Pixar. So I came to watch it with her. And I remember literally walking, I have the video where I said, one day right here, I'm going to come back and I'm going to host the Oscars. And not even like a year later, I'm at the Oscars. Not hosting yet, but, you know, the fact that I said something and I just truly felt like that was a wish my heart made, and working towards it and like finding a way to connect the dots and gaps to see it actually happen, it's just like, whoa. And so, you know, I was gonna wear the same turning red dress, but you know, the thing is, I'm so used to covering the behind the scenes, getting the gear and all this stuff that I rarely think about myself, how I look. I would love to, but
No,
I don't
QuyenZi,
have the
put a stop to that.
luxury. Yeah, I
Immediately.
don't have the luxury for
Fairy
that.
godmother to the rescue.
Yes.
I know, and fairy fucking
I wish you had
godmother
like a
Q.
thing. And
Like was like, I got you. Immediate, she's like calling all her stylist friends, because of course Q would have stylist friends for everything, and it just like she's like, I got a stylist thing with you, come by. And like we literally just made it a day, like even right before this, like looked at all these beautiful garments that Sky put together.
Shout
And
out to Sky.
shout out to Sky. But it was like Q's connection and her desire to see her sister shine. So I just want to say thank you, because I can't do any of this without you guys.
Well,
And-
that's-
it
and
all
I
started
love
with the
that
Jimmy Choo
too.
bag.
It all started with that Jimmy Choo bag. I'm like, one day these will be real, but right now
Well-
I really like this bag.
That's what our podcast is about. We are a sister squad. We support each other, and you know that is my strength. I am learning so much technical stuff from you, Nicki. Like I'm like editing onto script now,
I
and
can't even believe it.
explaining to like people like what kind of mics to use and lighting.
And you guys are saying it, and you're like, da 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 da, and I'm like, that's my girl.
And like when we have issues, and there are issues, everyone,
Oh,
when
man.
you're recording and editing, and
That's
Jess has
stressful.
become like amazing at editing videos, and
Thank you, Nicki.
everything.
She gives me the tutorials.
Yeah, like that's.
No, but
that
thank you
is-
for
that's
doing them and
what
executing
Your
them.
strength is, and my strength is, quality production and fashion and artistry and making sure I have an ad agency. Of course I know stylists, and I've never gotten to utilize those perks that you have in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So
the fun
I love doing that for you, and she's gonna look smoky
Ugh.
hot, everyone. It's so glam. Like there were so many options. Thanks again to Sky, our
Yes,
stylist.
Yes.
But the dress that she decided on. I mean, we all voted, obviously, but she looks so gorgeous and
Ah,
glam,
can't wait to
and
see.
she is Oscar worthy. Like
Aw,
and that is what I want you to feel, and you deserve to feel on when you're attending these events, or when you're on any red carpet, or when you are, I don't know, go to the grocery store dressed up.
I said do it and record it.
Everyone,
reel.
it feels nice to be glamorous
Yeah.
and beautiful, and have a team to do it
Exactly.
for you.
Having a team that's got your back and they want to see you shine.
Yes, and so stay tuned for the photos. We
Mm-hmm.
will have those up on our page, and we'll have video, of course. So can't wait for that. I love that. So
Yeah.
Jess, what about you? Season 3. What's it all about?
I am excited to throw events, to do more interactive stuff together. Like I really want to do an eating one, like ridiculous foods of
Okay,
us
where is
eating,
that going?
You know,
Eating each other bread. We haven't
Yeah.
done that for a minute.
and then after having the guests that we've had and just learning how cool how there's so many cool people out there, being able to bring them into our worlds and bringing their stories to light and delving into the crazy things that they go through, like when Keith talks about like the crazy stuff with Chat GPT and like things like that.
Oh, yes.
But there's so many stories, and I watch and listen to so much murder mystery stuff. So it's like I'm a detective, so I'm excited that we can take it to the next level
Yes.
for us and actually start going into what I'm passionate about, which is learning and unraveling stories that are out there. So that part, and then also we'll be able to have a spot where we can record, bring people in. It's gonna be a whole nother level. So I think that's gonna be the exciting, spend the whole day blocking it out and like making it a fun adventure. I need that in my life right now. So I'm excited for that to be the next season.
I'm there with both of you. I bet that. I feel like you. I was gonna say exactly the same thing. Now we're reading each other's minds. For me,
Season 4.
I want to do collaborations. I love our collaboration with Rescue.
Yes.
I want to do more collaborations with companies like Lioness and
Yes.
interview people like Anna, but really make it a complete integrated topic, like having multiple touch points when we interview someone, and then, having them on video, trying out their products or learning about what it is they do. Like, we are forever students. And I think
Yes.
that this podcast gives us that opportunity to explore more. And I want to engage our audience more. So
Yes.
I really would like to have more interactive things that we can do, whether they're events or more giveaways, because we love doing the giveaway. And I think that, I think in season 3, I miss you too. I want to see you more. So we're going to be doing more live things together and recording together again. But yeah, and I love that our topics have kind of expanded
Yeah.
from the messy sexy me to now, like, what's going on out there and how do we consume like this media or these products, so that we can share with everyone. So those are the things that I'm really excited about in season 3. And I'm still working. I really want this to become a show. So all you networks out there, all you platforms, like, get us a show. I'm manifesting.
Yes.
Ordering.
Prime time, baby.
Well, I think that I'm just so happy to see you
I
both
know.
here today.
I
It's
know.
kind of
It's
weird.
so,
Feels like a reunion.
Seriously, it's
I know.
real.
We're like
You
all
sis, flesh.
sensitive again.
I
Like,
had to
nope.
put makeup on for you guys.
This is a great time to sign off and
Yeah.
close out this episode and this season.
Wow.
And tell you both again, I love you very much.
Love you.
And we're so
And-
grateful for you guys.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have
thank
this
you for being on
without
this
you
journey
guys.
with us always. All right, ladies. Well, I think it's a good time to say goodbye, and thank you to our audience. Thank you two. I love you both very much.
Love you. Love you, love you.
And this is
Love you.
QuyenZi signing off.
Jessie.
And Nicki.
Bye.
Every time you say how do I think you just go, how do
Say goodbye.
Season 3.
It's about me.
Being sexy. Messy.
You're welcome.
Sayonara. What about Nang?
All right, let's go. Let's get
Get the fuck out of here,
Let's get off this roof until season 3 when we're in a studio.